Hey guys, it is that time of year when fleas are at their maximum population. We're towards the end of summer, but fleas are still in full force. And this year in particular, fleas have been much worse. When you have a rainy summer, your fleas are going to be 2 to 3 times worse than they would if you had a drought going on. So a drought actually hurts our plants, but it helps us when it comes to fleas because it will reduce their populations. But I'm going to show you some surefire ways to get them under control using normal household products, and these are completely safe around your pets. You don't have to worry about any kind of toxic chemical being sprayed on your carpets or in your home that could lead to other problems. So I'm going to show you 10 different ways to get the fleas under control, and one special way that absolutely works every time. Now, I dumped our little friends out of the collection tray right there, or our flea trap. I'm going to show you at the end of the video exactly how to make one, and one critical thing that you're going to need to get them to go into your trap. And some people use a very common item. I use something that's not very common, but it works even better, and I'll tell you about that in just a sec. But I want to go through other ways you can prevent the fleas from making it into your home to begin with. We have, believe it or not, we have 10 cats. We have 7 indoor and 3 outdoor, and those 3 that stay outdoor, we allow them to come into our garage at night and sleep, being safe from any predators or any other cats that might try to harass them. So we developed a really bad flea problem in our garage, and so I set up the flea trap, and in 48 hours we had knocked 99% of them down, and I did a couple other tricks to get them under control as well. But that is what you want to do. You want to do a preventative and the trap, and you will definitely see your flea population down 99.99%. So let's get on to each step and each procedure that you can use to reduce that outdoor population. Now, one of the best ways to get them under control is to use a vinegar and water solution. You can use regular 3 or 4% vinegar you have in your kitchen. I ordered this particular from Amazon because it is so concentrated and I don't have to use the entire thing at one time. If you're using the 3 or 4% concentration of vinegar, you want to use the entire container and do equal parts water to that particular strength of vinegar. On something like this where you have a much higher percentage at, I believe it's 45%, you only have to use 1, maybe 2 cups in a 4-gallon sprayer like this. And these sprayers are extremely valuable in the yard. I really could not do the job I do without a lot more work. This particular one is controlled by a battery power and a small pump inside of it. It's a 20 volt. So if you already have Black & Decker products around your house like drills and things like that, one of these will make your job so much easier when you're spraying out in the yard. So I'll put a link to one of these down below. But spraying in areas, now you can't spray this vinegar on plants because it will kill them. But if you have mulch areas and open ground areas, spray it in those areas and it will kill and repel fleas from that area. You'll need to do this each time it rains, about maybe 3 or 4 times over the summer. But just remember, this is to prevent fleas from getting inside. It's not going to totally eliminate them, but it's going to reduce their population around your home. Now, that's the first recipe with a vinegar-based solution, but the second recipe has a couple of added ingredients. You're going to use 3 gallons of water, and you're going to use 1 gallon of white vinegar, 3 to 4%, and you're going to use 2 tablespoons of dish soap and 1 cup of lemon juice. Now, there's different types of vinegar. As I mentioned, this is 45%. Got this from Amazon and also ordered this from Amazon. I'll put links to both of these in the description if they're still selling them. Sometimes they go in and out of stock on some of these items. This is super concentrated. You need to be very careful. You want to wear a mask, eye protection. It's just one of those things that it can hurt your nasal passages in your lungs if you breathe this in when you're splashing it around. So just make sure you're very careful with it. If you do want to use something like this, you're going to reduce it another half. This is 45. This is almost double that. It's not 90, but it's close to it. It's 75. So just reduce it down. You're just spraying it in those areas where you think fleas are at. And remember, don't spray any plants, grass, or anything that could die, because it is very toxic. I made a weed killer video. I'll link that up above right here about how to use vinegar to kill weeds and a special formula I have there. Now, another way you can knock down the flea population in the outdoors and prevent them from getting on your pet and making it into your house. If you have a pet that goes in and out, this out during the daytime, it comes in at night, you can use something as simple as Cedar shaving chips. And you put this around places where they like to lay down. If they have a particular spot where they like to sleep, just put it in that area. It's very soft and it won't hurt the pet at all, but the oils in the cedar shavings repel the fleas, so the fleas don't like it, and it can repel it and keep them from getting on your dog or cat in the first place. So again, if they have a favorite spot they like to go, it's great just to put it in the area. Now, if you're lucky enough to live in an area that has cedar chips in large bags. We don't have those at my local hardware store. We have pine chips because pine is the most common thing in our area. But if you can get a hold of cedar shaved chips in large quantities at your hardware store, put those in garden beds, that can really help as well. It's just this little cost prohibitive for me because I don't get them in large quantities. But if you can, that's great. But I'll put a link to the cedar chips in a small bag for the pet bedding if you'd like to use it for that. Now, diatomaceous earth is another thing you can use around the outside of your house, and it's very safe. It won't hurt your pet. Of course, you don't want to put it out wherever your pet's at. You want to make sure he's inside and doesn't breathe this dust because it will irritate your lungs. It's not toxic. Some people actually use this to kill things that are in their digestive system, such as worms, and some people give it, it has to be food grade, but you can give it to your pet as well to kill worms in their system. Talk to your vet if you want to do that because it is a possibility if you don't want to use a strange or possibly toxic medicine. But anyways, diatomaceous earth is really easy to put out. Around the greenhouse, I have a duster that's powered by a battery. I don't have it handy, but it's in the greenhouse, and it really works well for dusting in the shady spots. It won't hurt your plants. You can do under plants and mulch areas, anywhere the pet lays or spends time outside, and just dust the entire area. Now, once it rains, it will lose its effectiveness, so you'll need to reapply after a heavy rain. But this is a very safe and natural alternative to something like a chemical dust. This is perfectly safe. It's mined out of the earth. I believe it's made from ancient seashells, and it's just ground up into this dust. So it's really safe and it's good to use. Now, this is something I had just previously ordered just to put it out in the garden to help in the vegetable area. But Neeman Toads are another thing that you can put around the areas where your pet spends a lot of time. The one I'm recommending covers 200 square feet. It's about $30, and you can perfectly safe. It won't hurt your plants. It won't hurt your pets. But you put it out in the area, and these nematodes are microscopic worms that will feed off the larvae and cut down on the flea population. So it is a little bit more expensive, but it's a very unique, completely organic way to take care of those fleas before they make it indoors. Now, I've planted some peppermint in the yard, and it is just taken over in different areas. But that is another point about planting things that are repellent to fleas. The fleas don't like the smell. They don't like to stay in that area, and it can move them away from areas if you want to move them completely out of the yard. Now, if you have a large yard like mine, 2 acres, it's going to be harder to control it by planting that much. So if you have a small yard, this is a really great plant. I'll put a description on the sidebar here showing you all the plants that I know of that can repel fleas and get them moving out of the yard and away from your pet's bedding areas and their favorite play areas. Now, salt is another item that you can put in your pet's favorite play area. You can just lightly sprinkle it in those areas, and it can dehydrate the fleas and move them out of that area as well. I recommend using pool salt because you can buy it in such a large quantity, so if you're covering a large area. Remember, salt, again, as well as the vinegar, is toxic to plants, so you don't want to put this anywhere where you have anything growing because it will kill those plants. If you're wanting to kill weeds, then I'll put a link to a description where I talk about specifically pool salt and how to kill your weed issues with that. But just remember, this can also be a great way to stop the fleas before they get on your pet and then travel inside through that method. Now, I mentioned lemon juice in one of our previous recipes, but this is a little bit different. We're not using the juice of the lemon, we're using the peels of the lemon. So you take 4 to 5 lemons or 2 to 3 oranges or maybe a couple of grapefruits. You're going to boil the skins of those and allow it to come to a simmer for about 5 minutes, and then you're going to let it cool, and you're going to put it in a hose-in sprayer like this. I'll put a link to one of these as well. This is a 6-gallon hose-in sprayer, so 6 gallons of water will pass over whatever you have in here, and it will deplete whatever ingredients you have. So just remember, you need to make sure it's a 6-gallon sprayer, or you need to have one of the backpack sprayers that's 4 gallons. You'll just reduce the recipe there just a bit, but these are great. I've just purchased 2 more of these the other day, and I love using these because it's so easy. When I don't feel like breaking out the backpack sprayer, I could use one of these and just walk around the area I want to spray. So again, it's the limonene in that's the chemical in the lemon, or I guess it's in lime and grapefruit and orange, but it's limonene. It's a chemical that will help repel the fleas out of the areas where your pets like to stay. Again, now this is probably not harmful to your plants, but I would do a test treatment in the area where you want to spray and make sure it doesn't hurt it, because it could be more concentrated depending on how much lemon peel you're using. Now, the next product that's great for preventing those fleas from getting on your pets is using neem oil. And I can't give you an exact mixture because each one may be different concentrations. Some of them are super concentrated, some of them are just regular neem oil, not concentrated. So just remember, follow the directions on each whatever neem oil that you purchase. and mix it up. Now my favorite sprayer for the neem oil, I actually have a sprayer dedicated just to neem oil where I spray them around the yard, but you can use something like this, a solo sprayer. You can go around the entire yard. These are great. I have 5 of these in the greenhouse. I'll put links to all of this down below. But neem oil is a natural insecticide and it's perfectly safe and it won't hurt your pets either. So number 10 is the actual trap you're going to use in the indoor area. I use this in our garage and it worked great. I've used it in our finished rooms in our house, and there's a few tricks to using it that will make it super effective. Now some people will tell you to fill this with water and we'll add all the ingredients there, but then they'll tell you to put a light shining down on it. That's fine, that can work, but what I like to use is a pet bed. We've got 3 or 4 of these around the house. You put it up under, it gently warms from beneath, and then put it under your tray that's now filled with about ½ inch of water. And I'll show you exactly how we're going to do this. But the reason we're using the pet bed is that fleas are cold-blooded creatures and they need warmth to survive. That's why they go dormant in the winter. So we're going to put our water in here. Our pet bed will be plugged in, and below it, this is waterproof. So I'll put a link to these as well. They're great. Our cats absolutely love them. They will spend all winter long on these. But anyways, we're going to put that underneath so it gently warms from beneath. This is the middle of summer, of course, so we're not using these for the pets right now. But then you're going to take maybe 3 or 4 tablespoons of any of your dish soaps that you prefer. You can use baby shampoo, you can use Murphy's oil soap, you can use a less toxic, supposedly, dish shampoo. But what you need to do is you need to just mix this by hand so it breaks the surface tension. And the fleas are looking for warmth. So what you want to do is you want to put this somewhere, preferably where your cats are not going to be, because you want this to be what they're looking for. Now you may give your cat a flea bath and get the fleas off them, but the fleas are still in your carpet. So you want this sitting on the lowest point, not on a shelf, not on anything like that, not on a desk. You want it down on the floor, on the carpet. As this slowly warms up overnight, it will draw the fleas to it. Another trick, and this is really important, is to reduce the temperature of that room as low as you can tolerate it. If you get it down to 68 or 67, the room will be cold, and the warmest thing in the room will be this heating mat, and the fleas will be drawn to it. Now, I'm not really sure if they're drawn to light. Some people say that the light works better because they're somehow drawn to it. I think it's the heat and the warmth. They're also drawn to motion and movement. If you've ever walked through a room with fleas, they will jump on you like crazy. So this is just a super simple way of catching the fleas. And if you've got a lot of fleas in the carpet, you'll be amazed when you come back in a day or 24 hours and you'll just see fleas all around it. It works perfectly every time. I use it out in the garage. Unfortunately, our garage is not climate controlled, so we just have to wait a little bit longer for them to find their way to it. And our cats are going in and out, so there's a little bit of competition for the fleas to find someone to bite versus that warmth. So just remember, that's what you want to do. You want to attract them to it. Another thing you need to do before you set this up is to vacuum the room and then dispose of the container that you have. If you have an old-fashioned bag type of vacuum, you need to dispose of that bag in an outdoor trash can far away from the house. If you have a central vacuum where it goes into a canister, the fleas can make their way back to the interior of the house. Believe it or not, they travel a long way. So you want to empty that canister into a trash can as well. If you have the pet vacs, I think it's Dyson, you want to empty that outside as well. So vacuum first and then set up the trap and make sure you have the heating mat. It will not work without the heating mat, and you need to lower the temperature of the room as cold as you can tolerate it. Now, as I mentioned, you can put this in your garage, in a finished area of your house. But if your pet bed, if the one you buy or the pet bed heater is waterproof, and it should be because they're all made basically the same way, but just double check when you order it to make sure it says waterproof. Again, the one I have, I'll put it down below. But you can put it under a covered porch, a deck area, somewhere outside. If there's a tremendous amount of fleas in one area and that heat over the night, as the temperature drops in the middle of the night, this will be the warmest thing out there and the fleas will congregate to it. And you may be shocked how many fleas you catch in this the next morning. So guys, my next video is going to be about a formula you can spray on your cat or dog that's completely natural, no artificial chemicals or anything that might hurt them, that will get the fleas off of them. Also, in addition to treating your pet, you can use a flea comb. It's a lot more labor intensive, but that's another way you can carefully brush that over if your cat or dog has straight hair. If they have curly hair, that's quite a bit harder. So flea baths may be your only option there. But I've got a spray coming up. If you'll just keep subscribed now, and I'll have that video out in the next week or so. So guys, I just want to say thanks so much for watching. If you have a question or you want me to respond to something that you're saying, please subscribe first, because I filter all the comments through public subscribers. It's just getting to where I can't respond. I would be spending 2 or 3 hours a day responding. I would love to be able to respond to everybody, but it's just not possible. So guys, thanks again and have a great day.